we all play our own music in here, and like whenever people ask me about music, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, if you like this music, I book all these shows. Like, you should take a picture of that flyer. That's a free show. You should check out this band. And we've had crazy shows. We've had like the Umbrellas here. We've had Seablay. We've had Chime School. We've had Joel Robino. We've had Will Sprott. We've had Anna Hilbert. I mean, it's like so many. We just had Thunder Boys. We've had the Circulators. We've had the Boars, like the Wind-Ups. I mean, we've just had so many bands. I can't even name them all, but they're all, every time people come and they don't already know the band, they're like, this band is fucking awesome. Where did you find them? And I'm like, yeah, that's just show up, because the bands are going to be good.
That was Joanna Lioce, longtime Vesuvio bartender and creator of the bar's Wacky Wednesday music shows in Kerouac Alley. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast all about the artists, activists, and small businesses that make this city what it is. This is the fourth and final episode in our little mini-series on one of our favorite spots in San Francisco. Vesuvio means so much and so many different things to many, many people. This episode with bartender Joanna Lioce ends on one of the newer aspects of the place, the Wacky Wednesday music shows that happen every summer and into the fall in Jack Kerouac Alley, which, if you've been living under a rock, separates Vesuvio from its San Francisco landmark neighbor, City Lights Books. Here's Joanna.
I just turned 41 like 2 weeks ago, so it's March. Maybe it was 2004. I don't know. I have no idea.
Basically,
it's basically
20 years.
Yeah, pretty much. It's coming up. Yeah.
Okay, if you want to talk about, I mean, because 20 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like brush or rush over it.
Oh yeah, well.
If you want to talk about any of your stories, you know, and then leading up to like having to close with the pandemic, and then coming back.
That was
stuff
weird.
You've been doing since then.
Yeah. So basically, I started working here. I started as a waitress, which was very odd. I had no idea what I was doing. This woman who was supposed to train me, who I'm still friends with to this day, so she'll remain nameless. She doesn't work here anymore, but she didn't show up to work. Ooh. And this guy who was the bar manager at the time was like, well, like, get a tray. And I just said, all right. So I didn't know what I was doing. And it's upstairs, too. So it was like, if you don't know how to roller skate and then roller skate, like, up a hill. Like, it was like, what the fuck? So, and of course, my first table, it was this table, the big table over here. They got 3 martinis and 4 glasses of champagne.
Of course they did.
And I was like, fuck me. So I was carrying the tray like a kid would carry it, like with both hands on either side. Yeah. Didn't have it underneath, whatever. And this woman, thank God, who was sitting at the table said, how long have you been cocktailing? And I said, 3 minutes. And she was like, what is happening? And I said, I don't know. I was supposed to train, but like no one's here, so I'm just doing it. Yeah. And she said, okay, give me the tray. Like, I don't know who this woman is. She's like an angel. Yes. I have no idea. She was fucking rad. And she's like, give me the tray. And she like took my hand and put the tray on my hand. And she was like, move it. Like, what? Are you left-handed or right-handed? I told her. And she's like, okay, if you're right-handed, you're going to hold the tray with your left hand. I know that's like counterintuitive. And she's like, never look at the drinks. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then I did it, and I just started practicing. But she taught me how to cocktail.
It's
that
like
lady.
The bar gods were looking.
It was
down
really.
on you.
She was the best.
And also for the like 5 listeners who have never been to Vesuvio, the stairs.
Yeah, they're very steep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the first full shift I had.
You used an analogy about roller skating, but I'm like, also walking up and down the stairs.
Oh no, yeah, you're running up and down stairs. Yeah. The people
with
who serve here,
it's
athletic. Like the only thing I can think of that's comparable is I know people that have cocktailed at like the Fillmore and the Warfield and stuff like that, and I'm like, how on earth? Well, there's that, and then the crowd, like going through all the people, and they have like the glow stick. I'm like, how do you find anyone? But yeah, so it's Olympic level of running when it's really busy.
Empath in me will almost always go to the bar in a situation like that.
Yeah. If it's too slammed, for sure.
Put that on anyone.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny, too, because before the pandemic, it used to be that the servers and the bartenders all kept their money, like, completely separate. And then we've changed that since the pandemic just because of the evolving rules and the you can't be inside, you can't be inside. We've all kind of had to pull weight for each other for the last few years, which has been actually fine. Everyone's been really good about it. But it used to be a thing where if people sat down at a table with like a round of drinks, the servers would get pissed and they would be like, they'd come down and like yell at the bartenders. And it was predominantly
like it's
when,
their fault?
Well, they were always like, you should have told them. And at this point,
right.
it was kind of like, at that point, this was probably like 15 years ago, but it seemed like most of the bartenders were men and all of the servers were women. So it was kind of amazing because you would sit there and you would have a server come down and be like, what the fuck? You just served the banana table and that was 9 drinks and now they're going to sit there for a fucking hour and they're not going to, and it was like, you're taking up all, like you're stealing my money, like full on just fighting behind the bar.
It's like Alice and Flo and Vera yelling at Mel.
It's so good. Like it was so, and I'm sure it made so many people uncomfortable, but like if I was sitting at the bar, I would just sit there like, go on. Yes. Like I just, I thought it was great. So, but that's all mellowed out a little bit, which is nice. And then, and then we had to close for the pandemic. That was obviously very weird.
Was this your only job at the time?
It was, yes.
So
I was just working here. I was working here 5 days a week, so I was here. It was just weird.
And weird, right?
Yeah, it was one of those things where, I think, like everyone had different experiences. For me, I kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm hearing about this thing, COVID-19, and I forget what they were originally calling. There's another.
Coronavirus.
There was another name though that they were calling it.
SARS.
No. It was something I don't remember, but I remember my boss was like, well, we should be doing this because of this, and I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like I was fully like, what? And I didn't think anything of it, and then I realized like, oh, this is. She's talking about coronavirus, and like it all just sort of like went into place. Like, okay, shit, bad, bad. And then for I would say maybe a week, there was like no one in here. Right. So that was obviously weird. And then we got like the call that it was just like closed down at midnight, and it was really scary, and it was really awful in a lot of ways. We have a lot of regulars, and we have a lot of people who live alone, and people were like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I don't have at the time, especially like I think that's changed a little bit, which is probably a positive thing, but this was like, or it still is for some, but this is definitely like a lot of people's social outlet and living room, and a lot of people live in SROs, and a lot of people were like crying and just really upset, and it was just like, fuck, I don't know what to tell you. Like, is
not to diminish any of what you're saying, but I also think about remember the first shutdown was supposed to be for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, how cute.
Well, I know. So I had a thing.
That they thought
so I closed down the bar. We brought all the booze downstairs. We did all of this stuff, and we thought it was maybe going to be like a week. Yeah. Maybe 2.
Yeah.
So I went to Cloverdale. I have a friend that lives has a house in Cloverdale. He bought it like 6 years ago. So me and my friend Anna go up there all the time, and she was already up there. I borrowed my parents' car and drove there, and I pulled up, and they were in the driveway, and they said something happened while you were driving. They're shutting down the city. And I was like, what do you mean they're of San Francisco? And I was like, what do you mean they're shutting down the city? And she was like, they're doing a lockdown. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like I just lost my job of like 17 years, and now I'm like, so I was like, okay. And they said, we've talked about it. We're both gonna stay here. If you want to drive back, you should drive back now. But if you want to stay, you should stay.
Right, it's one
and
or
I
the
think
other.
I was so like, that I just stayed, and I ended up staying there for 4 months.
Wow. Okay.
Which was, I hate to say it,
I get it.
So lovely.
Yeah.
Like it was so nice because I live alone, and I would have. I don't know how well I would have done. But yeah, I had like a yard. I was very, very, very lucky, very fortunate in that situation. And then I came back because I was like, I have to do my job at some point. Yeah, and like I could do this. I could lay in a hammock for the rest of my life. I could start drinking Sauvignon Blanc from Dollar General at 10 a.m. every day if I wanted to, but I know myself.
Could get used to that.
Yeah, I was like, this is getting a little cozy. I should probably like tighten this up a little bit. So I came back. We reopened, I think in what was that? Maybe November?
Yeah.
And then I remember we closed down again on December 4th.
Yep.
Because it was Chad's birthday, who's working right now. A woman who worked here had tested positive for COVID, so we just shut everything down. And then I think they did the other shutdown like at the same time, and then we reopened again or maybe we opened in October. I don't know. It's all very foggy, but yeah, we basically had to just start over. It was really a lot.
Do you remember when, like, y'all reopened for the last time and you've been open
I think it was January.
Of 21.
Yeah,
okay,
of 2021.
Okay.
I'm pretty positive.
Well, that ties into when, where, and how did the music in the alley
the Wacky
start?
Wednesdays.
Wacky Wednesdays.
So basically, the bars were not very busy. There were all sorts. I don't even remember. It's such a weird time to like think about like what it's like chicken or the egg of like how did that all. But basically, I just remember being at work and thinking like this used to be fun and it's not fun. Like no one's having a good time. Everyone is so fucking weird. Like customers were so weird. We were weird.
Yep.
Like I think it was just, you just weren't used to seeing a lot of people. Like it was just very odd. People were getting like real shit-faced, which, you know, no one knows how to deal with this
what
were you going to do? Like, no judgment. I don't fucking know. Like, yeah, you probably can't have 12 shots of tequila. You probably haven't done that for a while. Like, who knows? But, it just felt very anxious, and I was like, we should do something fun. Like, we need to do something that's like fun, that will make people want to come out, and like, it should be outside, it should be safe. And I had run this art fair with a woman who worked here years ago called A Fair to Remember in the alley, and it was local artists, and we would do it. I think it was like the last Sunday of the month. This was like 15 years ago, but
monthly.
We would do it monthly in the summer.
Yeah.
And I would get all the bands, she would get the vendors, I'd do all the permits, and we would just do it, and it would be really great, it'd be really cute, everyone liked it, it was fun. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I could do something like that, but with just bands. So I started calling it Wacky Wednesday. I asked my friends to play. Right. I put it on Instagram and was like, hey, it's a free show. Yes. And basically, I asked the bar if they would pay the bands. And they did for a while. Now I have sponsors, which is great. I got sponsorship through some different companies. This year we have 805, Fernet, and Tito's are our sponsors, which is great. And the budget, you know, it's not the most difficult thing to put on. It's like booking is a lot. Like booking it is a ton. I think we had 13 shows this year, so I think we had like 29 bands this year. The last one is the 25th, so we'll be done for the season. But October. Yeah, it's a big costume contest.
This will come out after that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah.
Do you have plans to start it going again?
Yes. So we'll start it again probably in June. Okay. We usually do it June to October.
Okay, got it.
But it's fun, and the thing about it that's kind of nice is like we have people who work here, like Chad again, who's working downstairs. He knows how to do sound. A guy named Jimmy who works here knows how to do sound. My friend Brendan has been coming in to do sound. Our friend Scott, who works the door, knows how. So kind of between all of us, we can just sort of set up the PA, get the bands out there and do it. There's no tickets, so if a band gets sick or something happens, it's like I'll put the word out and just be like, I'm sorry, but this happened. Although we've been super lucky, we've had a couple of situations where bands have canceled. I even had a band cancel. I think the show was supposed to start they're 7 to 10. It was supposed to start at 7, and someone called me at like 4:30 that day. Mm-hmm. And they were like, I thought I could make it. I don't think they had COVID. I think they had something else going on. But they were like, I thought I could make it. I don't think I can do it. And I just said, don't worry about it. Like, the whole point is it's free, it's fun. Don't stress out about it. Yep. I mean, I've had people that are like 7 months pregnant performing. And I'm like, if it gets closer to the date and you're like, fuck no, I don't want to do that. Don't do it. Like, it's very low stakes. It's no pressure. Like, but in the times that we have had people cancel, I've kind of been able to just get on the phone and be like, hey, do you want to come down and play? And people have done it. And it's been great. And it's just been a really cool event. Like, people really love it. There's a couple people from the neighborhood that are making a zine about it that they're going to sell at City Lights, which is cool. Yes. And it's gotten a lot, like some media coverage. And there was some mention, I think, someone told me, I haven't seen anything, of like Best of the Bay type of thing, of like the best place to see bands that aren't famous yet kind of situation. And
that already happened? Or?
I just heard various rumors about it.
And I've been suggesting new categories.
Yeah. I've had a couple people tell me that they got interviewed about it, but no one has contacted me. I know nothing. So I'm just like, that'd be a cool surprised if that happened, and like even if it didn't, like someone got interviewed. So
well, we're not Bay Guardian or 48 Hills. But I will say that the reason we're doing this is because we think it's the coolest.
It's super fun, and like it's just really, I like that it's very like old San Francisco.
Correct.
Like it's playing in an alley. It's really hilarious selling it. It's not even really a sell, honestly, because most of the bands, like I said, are people that I know. But it is funny being like, you're playing in an alley, and it's between City Lights and Vesuvio. And to some people, that's like a huge draw. And to some people, they're like, wait, what?
Right.
Like, we're playing in an alley? And I'm like, yeah. But the thing about that alley that I have to say, and I always tell musicians, like, I played music for a long time. All of my friends are musicians. And I'm like, I would never bring you out here if it was going to sound like shit. Like, I would not do that to anyone. That's just a mean, shitty thing to do. No one would have a good time. It would be awful. But there's something about that alley where the buildings are so high, and it's such a like long, narrow alley that it sounds oddly really good in there. Yeah. When I bought the PA, I was at Guitar Center. We had to replace the PA, and of course there were all these guys in there like, you know, you need more than this, it's outside. And I said, trust me, like, I actually know what I'm doing. I don't want a PA that's like insanely loud. Where I'm doing it, the sound really like bounces off the outside. Like, you don't want it to be too loud. If it's too loud, it's going to sound muddy. Right. And other bands are going to turn up. Like, this is the maximum what I want. And that took a lot of convincing, but it's always, like, again, knock on wood, it's always worked out. Like, people that come are in a really good mood. We've never really had any like assholes. Like, there's never been any fights. There's never been any injuries. Like, I know, like, very, very, very much knock on wood. But like, I also, that's what I always say. Like, again, the daughter of a nurse. I'm always very like, if someone got hurt or if something bad happened, I would feel really irresponsible just having this thing. And what's great about it is it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. And I'm also at the point where people are like, you should ask this person and this person and this person, and I'm like, it can't get too big because it just won't work. Like, it's kind of in this perfect little pocket. I know. I would love more than anything, but I don't think it would be very fun, and I don't think they would have a good time. You know, I think that's the whole thing, is like everyone has a little room to move around, and it's usually a good crowd of people. So, and
just to double check, you are coming back in summer of 24.
Yes, that is the plan for sure. And I've already have my little OCD list in my phone of all the bands I want to ask. Every year I make a little list of bands.
Like a wish list.
It's like my ideal. I for a while was only doing San Francisco bands, and then we've kind of expanded. I've had a couple of friends from like LA. LA asked. We've had that band Apache played out here. They played like a sold out show at the Chapel, and then someone contacted me and was like, could they play in the alley? And it wasn't a show week, but I basically just asked. I think Jimmy was working on the door at the time, and I was like, and I asked it's always the same people on Wednesday, so I just asked my like Wacky Wednesday crew, Jimmy and Antonio at the time, are you guys cool with this? It's gonna be real last minute, so I don't know how crazy it's gonna get, but it would probably be fun. And like they just set it up, like, or Jimmy set it up, Antonio and I just did it, and it was great. It was like people showed up, they couldn't believe that this band who like played a sold out show at the Chapel was playing in the alley. Like people loved it, and it was a lot of fun.
It's one of my favorite new thing. It's new enough.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's new still.
I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt.
Thank you.
It is a really great thing, and also, I am one of those people like this. The bar.
Yeah. City
Lights, like that's a very special.
Yeah, it's
place.
A fun little. I mean, it's cool. I feel very fortunate that I've worked here for so long, and also that the people who own Vesuvio and the people at City Lights have been very, very, very kind to me when I have had. For many years, have had some pretty harebrained ideas of like, why don't we try this? And sometimes they're like, but they always let me do it. They've never, no one has ever said no. And I think generally there haven't been a lot of flops. But it's also, know your crowd, know your audience. I'm not trying to have metal shows outside or anything like that. But it's they always are they're very supportive, and it's really, really nice of them because they don't have to be that way, but they just are. They're great neighbors. They're great owners here. Everyone who works here really likes music, so I think that's a big part of it is, I think they like that, we're able to kind of bring something free to the community. The owner here, Janet, who you're going to speak to, she has set up jazz on Sundays. I mean, it's just kind of a nice free thing we want to do for the neighborhood that we've both worked in for a really long time, and people enjoy it. So why not do it?
So besides following Vesuvio or just coming here, but following on social media, how can listeners find out about the shows once they start up next summer?
So I'm the worst when it comes to anything computer related. I didn't have a computer until very recently, and
I'm jealous.
I didn't have the internet in my apartment until maybe a year ago.
You're blowing my mind in a good way.
I didn't want it.
So
I did not want it. The only reason I got it was in the same storm that ruined my corner store.
Yeah.
My dish cable got messed up.
Dished. Yeah.
Yes, my dish. And I was like, well, I can't watch any television now. And I was watching stuff on my phone. I got sick. I didn't have COVID, I got sick. And I was watching something on my phone, a Hulu thing on my cell phone, which is also an iPhone 5, so it's super small and shitty. And I was like, this is the low point. I'm an adult woman. I live in an apartment.
Right.
I can just...
I haven't seen Pretty Woman.
I haven't seen Pretty Woman. I haven't seen The Notebook. I haven't had Mitchell's Ice Cream. But I think I could probably try this internet thing. I guess maybe it's going to stick. So I got internet
Is
in
this
my
a way to
apartment.
say that there's a website?
No, so there's not, is the point. I'm about 20 years behind everything. So there is not a website.
Awesome.
What I tell people to do, I have an Instagram that I post everything on, and then Vesuvio also has an Instagram and a Facebook. So if you follow Vesuvio, they'll post. I usually try to post stuff. They'll kind of do one or two. I kind of try to post regularly just to promote more, just as the booker. So my Instagram is Lioce, which is just my name. It's JOLIOCE. But that I have all the events on there. And then, I don't know. I mean, I should probably just do a Wacky Wednesday one for next summer. I have several months to do that.
Also, don't you think it's a good message if people are able?
Yeah.
Come to the bar.
Yeah, there's calendars here as well.
There's calendars.
That's the thing. It's
and then,
pretty.
Once the show starts, just come every Wednesday.
Yeah, or just
check
come
the
every other
calendar.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
There are posters. We put Chad again. I've mentioned Chad many times in this interview. He's
Chad's
downstairs, so he's getting all the prop. But Chad's great, so that is good. But he made our calendar this year. I gave him all the dates and everything, and he made a really cool flyer. Yeah. It's been in the window since June. I tell people to just take a picture of it. It says on that the Instagram handle or whatever. So there's that. I think a lot of it too is like a website. I mean, I'm just not gonna lie. A website is not gonna happen. I'll never do it. I just know I won't do it.
Kids don't even know what websites are.
I also am just I won't. I wrote a book and there's not a website. I'm just I'm not good at anything like that. But yeah, I mean the Instagram thing, the Facebook thing. Although Facebook, I'm just that's for our grandparents' friends. No, just kidding. No. But we still put it on there. Some people look at it. But yeah, and then we have the posters up and stuff around. A lot of the bands make their own posters too, which is kind of a newer thing, which is really, really cool. Awesome. For the zine. They're trying to collect all of those to add them into the zine. So they'll come in and put those up everywhere. So it is kind of I kind of like that it's still very find a flyer, see it on the wall, show up, mm-hmm. It kind of feeds into the whole kind of old school,
and
hear
neighborhood.
Neighborhood, hear about it. I was at a bar, I saw they're gonna have a show. We tell people when they come in, I have we all play our own music in here, and whenever people ask me about music, I'm if you like this music, I book all these shows. You should take a picture of that flyer. That's a free show. You should check out this band. And mm-hmm. we've had crazy shows. We've had the Umbrellas here. We've had Seablay. We've had Chime School. We've had Joel Robino. We've had Will Sprott. We've had Anna Hilbert. I mean, we've had it's so many. We just had Thunder Boys. We've had the Circulators. We've had the Boars. The Wind Ups. I mean, we've just had so many bands. I can't even name them all, but they're all, every time people come and they don't already know the band, they're like, this band is fucking awesome.
Good.
Where did you find them?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's just show up because the bands are going to be good. Like, I'm not going to get any duds. Even if I get someone super weird, it's going to be fun.
That was Vesuvio bartender Joanna Lioce. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode on another San Francisco podcaster, Tracy Ramos of Booze Nation, the podcast. Whatever you do or don't do to celebrate Thanksgiving, enjoy it. I know I'll be counting myself lucky to be here with my family. Look for episode 3 with Tracy Ramos next week wherever you listen to podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Michelle Kilfeather does original photography for us. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 6th season, we have more than 200 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're able to, please rate and review the show, and drop us a line at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Keep rejecting those silly doom loop narratives about our city. Stay wacky, weird, healthy, and creative. And we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.